what I've witnessed is that most of our illnesses, diseases in our lives and in our experience of being alive are created by what I would call disruptions in the power of love. And what I'm going to say is that our origins, our birthright is, and when I use the word love as a power, I'm referring to it as a huge force of energy.
Sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. I am so excited to be having this conversation. I've been waiting too long to have this conversation, so I am so honored to have Grandmother Sarah joining me today, and just thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Paul, for the wonderful invitation to come into conversation with you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, we're journeying on the road to self-love together. So
absolutely.
My personal feelings about what self-love means is that self-love is the devotion to one's individuality. You know, what makes you you and you special. And I'd really love to know, Grandmother Sarah, what makes you you and what gets you up in the morning and what are you passionate about?
What gets me up in the morning is to be in conscious dialogue with all of my relations, which means far more than my human family. So it's about, I'm always keen to go outside and feel the weather on my face and to have a few words with all of life that doesn't speak English, and to remember those that are speaking languages and are part of my bigger human family, that it's good to remember them. And they appreciate being remembered in that healing light. And so I get up every morning because that's really a delightful thing to do. I like waking up.
I'm curious, like on a deeper level, like when you hear the word healing, what does that mean to you?
Well, what I've witnessed is that most of our illnesses and diseases in our lives and in our experience of being alive are created by what I would call disruptions in the power of love. And what I'm going to say is that our origins, our birthright is, and when I use the word love as a power, I'm referring to it as a huge force of energy. And that I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about something that juices life, that is our very existence, that is constantly evolving to us into a greater sense of well-being all the time. It's always trying, but it comes across things that get in its way, disruptions, I'm calling them, right? And so what I feel is that healing to me is being able to in some ways look at those disruptions wherever they're from, whether they're in your present life or they have been inherited through the bloodlines, or however they've arrived in your life, that your behavior is disruptive or other people's behavior is disruptive to you. No difference, really. It's at that point, that to me is what happens when we look at that. What happens when we name with that? Because a human body that is being disrupted is off balance, it's out of coherence, it doesn't sing the same sound, it's not the eloquence of a poem, it's like a poem that doesn't make sense and it's all disjointed, right? So the healing is bringing that force, that original force that is our birthright from the beginning of time, by reducing the disruptions that allows greater flow through the line, through your blood, literally, into your systems. And this brings things more, getting it closer into coherence, closer into one sound, closer into a song, a poem, an eloquence, and a grace. And I certainly, with the work that you and I've done, Paul, we have experienced what that feels like when that original love force comes into the room, and basically uplifts all of us into the space. And then we are standing in the confidence knowing that something that was there is no longer there.
Something that was there is no longer there, and that is a true liberating feeling for sure. And I truly hope that everyone who's listening gets to experience that feeling in one way or another. Now, we just jumped right in because I know you so deeply, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life, in my world, and I'd love for you to just kind of take us back to who you are, like the origin story of Sarah Maclean Bicknell.
Mhm. Well, my origins are, you must probably be beginning to catch in my voice. I was actually born in Cambridge, England, to parents that stayed together for their whole life, which we know is can be a gift or not. But this was a good relationship overall, and so I was fortunate, very fortunate. I was fortunate in my birth. I was fortunate in my parenting, um, and but my life sort of turned around at a very young age and I sort of encountered many disruptions that could not be explained to me by my upbringing. There wasn't a complete answer. So I think that started me in a very different journey. Things happened to me that didn't happen to my other family members, sort of big traumas. And I then started my own journey through life carrying the burden of a lot of trauma.
Yeah, so let's dive into the work that I know you deeply through, which is ancestral constellation, or just constellation work. As I sit and try to explain it, I find that my words just kind of fumble over each other. So I would love for you to share, because you've been doing this for almost 15 years or more than
this one. Yeah.
15 years of this work. How can you summarize what ancestral constellation is?
You can't.
Great.
There are many that have written about it, that are able to articulate it. I struggle because it is so big that to try and condense it into the English language is really hard. But I also come from a background all of my life of ceremony. So, and I think possibly one of the ways to understand it that's coming more and more into the limelight are two things. One, this is work that works with what is known within this field as the knowing field. And there's been a lot of Sheldrake, being one of the earlier people that wrote about the field in ways that people could understand. And the field is literally the sort of the pulling together of energies that are corresponding closely to what is emanating and coming from the physical world. And so, you're thinking, in this case, you have someone that has a family, right? We all have families, and you're sitting and you're seeking, which means that you're the one that's asking to look at your family to see where the disruption is. And when you're in that position, just because you're there in that position, it's your field of your bloodline that condenses the strongest in the room. So that's what's feeding the information in the room.
So on the road to self-love, we always play road trip games as if we're, traveling together in a car somewhere. And I always love playing this game called We're Not Really Strangers, which is just a card game that has different questions. And I pulled a random question, and I'm going to ask the question, and we're both going to answer it. So this question is, what did I learn about myself this week?
That when I'm not well, I am really grumpy.
That's a good knowing to have.
I own it. Yeah. I am really grumpy, bad-tempered. Stay away from me till I feel better. I can't be nice. I tried. I can't be nice. It kind of sticks in somewhere. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can constellate that. We'll look at that. So you have a lot of beautiful ways that you support people. Of course, we've already talked about constellation, but I'd love to know, if people aren't really truly ready to either be in community or commit to coming to retreat or traveling for this, how can people learn from you and be supported by you?
Well, my website's the first place to start, I would imagine, which is sarahmacleanbicknell.com. And there are various offerings there, and I have an online community called Village Green, which I love. It has dream circles in it, constellation circles, all online. We have a really beautiful way of working with constellation online that we've developed over the last couple of COVID years, right? And so there's that way. There's people seek me out for intuitive readings. They seek me out for healing work. It's all residing there. But Village Green I love because it introduces people into community without it. I mean, it's a virtual community, right? So it allows you to put your feet in the water and be able to work things out pretty privately on your own about your relationship to more than one person in the room and working with more than one person in the room. So it's very different from one to one. And there are various ways of offering that are inclusive. And I have this time, which I call the fireside chat, where you can come online and ask me any question you want.
Wow.
And if I don't want to answer it, I'm clear. I'll say, no, I'm not going to answer that right now. But I think I've only done that once. And people ask me personal questions. They ask me questions about the work, or they come in because something happened last week online and they want some more clarification. But that's where you get to meet me, and we can hang together differently than if I'm sitting in the seat with a facilitator hat on or a teacher hat on and so on. So I always think that's really good. So I really urge people into the Village Green as a place to find out about the work. We do ceremony online. We do many of the things that I believe in: ceremony, dreaming, and constellation work. So that's all present in the community. And there's ways of chatting that's not Facebook, but it has a similar kind of style of leads. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. And we will
and
definitely
everything's there in my website. So
yeah, well, and we'll have everything linked in the show notes for you as well. So if you're intrigued or want to, join us for our next in-person constellation, which is going to be in December in San Diego, or you want to experience Grandmother Sarah's Village Green, like that is a beautiful way. So I just have a couple of more questions for you. Do you have something to add?
Go ahead. Yeah.
No. So I ask this question to everyone who joins me on the road. What does self-love mean to you?
Through life, there is a balance between giving out and receiving in. And it's like a breath. It's intake, outtake, all of that, and it's all flowing. And my sense of it is the word reciprocal. Life is reciprocal, and we're really living in the present moment. It's a very reciprocal experience. And we breathe out, and the plants breathe in, and they breathe out, and we breathe that in. And so it's kind of the beautiful cycle of life. And when that's so you love out, and you also love in, which is to receive love. So I would say self-love is the ability to receive love and to nurture, to allow that energy to really nurture every cell in your body.
Well, it means so much to me to have you as part of this community, and I'm looking forward to the retreat December 10th through the 12th of 2021, and we'll have all that information linked in the show notes as well. And please make sure to go check out Sarah's website, and if you want to find her on Instagram, the links are there as well. And just remember, you are worth it. You deserve it. And you are not alone. We'll see you next time. Bye.